inside a Georgia State prison over the weekend.
Investigators say an inmate managed to get a gun inside Smith State Prison and then killed the kitchen staffer before turning the gun on himself. Tonight, investigators say they believe the inmate and victim had a relationship. Fox 5's Rob D'Arienzo has been digging into the details of this very alarming story. Rob?
Yeah, and the biggest concern tonight is people really aren't sure about how that inmate managed to get his hands on a gun behind bars at one of the state's maximum security prisons and then use it. The Department of Corrections still does not have an explanation for us tonight, but we've since learned that the kitchen employee killed early Sunday morning was just 24 years old. The Georgia Department of Corrections says inmate J. Dracus Hart shot the Aramark food service worker inside Smith State Prison in southeast Georgia early Sunday morning. She's been identified as 24-year-old Orion Grace. The prison says Hart then turned the gun on himself.
That, to me, is shocking to the conscious, and I hope that this is a wake-up call for the Georgia Department of Corrections.
Joshua Schiffer has practiced criminal law in Georgia for 2 decades. He says this incident demonstrates a complete failure by the Department of Corrections leaders.
This institution, Smith, is a notorious institution because it's a high-security institution dealing with some of Georgia's most dangerous and threatening inmates.
Back in October, investigators say an inmate there shanked 42-year-old guard Robert Clark to death from behind. Earlier last year, the GBI charged the prison's warden in a sprawling contraband conspiracy. Hart was serving time for voluntary manslaughter and aggravated battery from a 2015 case out of Carroll County. His earliest release date would have been 2043.
This wasn't a shank or a piece of wood or a razor blade. This was a firearm with ammunition, and everybody needs to realize how dangerous this situation was and how indefensible this death is.
The entire state correctional system has been under a years-long federal investigation into allegations of civil rights abuses. The state legislature just formed a committee to review it from top to bottom.
This example is an unfortunate reflection of what's happening in Georgia prisons as a whole.
Just a little while ago, a spokesperson for the prisons told us they believe Hart and Grace had romantic relationships. They say he did leave behind a suicide note, but there's still no clear answer about how that gun got into a Supermax facility at this point. I'm Rob D'Arienzo, Fox 5 News.
The Harford County Sheriff said